Hey, that's pretty bad. It's not terribly bad, but it's not terribly good either. It's not even like mediocre. It's just a loss. And the first one, 86-76, the Summer Jazz defeat the Summer Raptors in what was a game where the Raptors, I think, were ultimately quite challenged offensively. And even on top of that, I think there were guys you would expect to have a little bit more offense from who you weren't really getting anything. And that's tough. And when you're looking at some of your lead creators who are not able to garner advantages so that they can gift other advantages to other players, then just kind of tough. Jamal Shed had a really tough game, lots of turnovers, not a lot of creation, not a lot of scoring himself. Javon Freeman Liberty, he had a whale of a game. 24 points, 7 of 14 from the floor, 7 of 8 from the line. He was the only guy I thought who could get into the lane repeatedly. Jacoby did a decent job of it at times, and his driving game was not bad because of finishing. It wasn't bad because of navigating help as it stepped in. He was a little bit sloppy out of the triple threat. He was a little bit sloppy putting the ball down, getting his feet started, attacking closeouts. And of course, he missed every three he took. This is a shooting prospect. You got to hit threes if you want to make a difference. And those two guys were basically the only people who were able to get into the lane in the starting lineup. And then DJ Carton also, I think, like attempted 3 or 4 layups, went to the line a couple times. He was a guy who I think impressed in his ability to get the second step, to take it, finish at the rim, but he missed layups. And so the Raptors were a team that was bereft of shooting, bereft of creation, bereft of finishing, and they scored 76 points, and Javon Freeman Liberty made up 33%, or I guess it would be like 32% of their output. Not really tenable. That's not something you can have. And them's the breaks. Brandon Carlson was okay in the front court, but he got a big shout out to Merv, who I know listens or watches the podcast. However you consume it, Merv. I know you listen. You've been saying that Filipowski is great. I know that's your guy over at Duke. He had a much better game than any big man from Toronto's squad. I know there's a lot of conversation about his off-court drama, proclivities, whatever that is. And like, understandably so, it was kind of weird, the reporting around it and perhaps the reality of it. However, the thing is, he played pretty damn good basketball, had good touch at the rim, cash from downtown, intriguing handle in the open floor, did pretty good. Like Shed tried to go and boogie on him in isolation a couple times, and it didn't happen for him. Moved his feet, forced pickups. So big shout out to Filipowski. I thought he had a good game. Taylor Hendricks going 9 of 10 from the floor, 23 points, 9 rebounds. I thought he was tremendous, not just obviously shooting 90% from the floor, going for 23. That's a big deal. You only score 86 or 76 points. That's a huge deal. Like you look at the WNBA, a lot of the highest volume scorers, their efficiency numbers aren't at the level that they are in the NBA. It's a different style of basketball. And so somebody going like for volume scoring on 42, 43% is really valuable in a lower scoring league. And so in these games, going for like 23 and 20 or 43 between Hendricks and Filipowski is huge. But not only that, I thought that Hendricks in particular was pretty good at gumming things up in the lane as a help defender at the nail against the Raptors, kind of dissuading guys from drives or being present. And this was a game, it would have been really nice to see Mobo and Grady in this, but obviously they're both out. The sprained ankle and the back contusion, it's keeping guys out of the game for obvious reasons. When you're injured, you're injured. It would have been nice to see them try and get up this game and see how they were able to add a little bit of dynamism to what the Raptors want to do. I thought that Shamshay was also very intriguing in this game. Obviously, Javon is the bright spot. Molly Weir in chat is saying that he had a tough finish to the game, obviously, when he took on the 3 players towards the end of the game. I do understand the critique of Javon's decision-making. It hasn't been strong as an NBA player, I guess as a lead guard, I should say. He's pretty good at sussing out what opportunities he has for himself as a scorer, taking advantage of that. And that's been represented in all of the summer league games so far. He's had a lot of volume and pretty good efficiency to this point. However, the playmaking aspect of what he's been able to do has been lacking, not just at summer league, but as a player. When he was with the Raptors 905, when he was with the Windy City, whatever the hell, the Windy City Bulls, there we go. And when he was with the Raptors up playing NBA games, that was something that he struggled with. And you can't just be like an okay scoring guard. Joseph Cassidy says, "Bring back Real Murphy." Yeah, I'm wherever Brody is, I'm cat sitting. So the microphone problems that I had in last live stream, I just decided to come to a new studio to record from. Ion says, missed most of the game, but the Raptors look so small compared to the Jazz. I mean, Filipowski is pretty big. Like Taylor Hendricks isn't huge. The Jazz with Cody Williams and Hendricks are kind of like big on the wing, and Filipowski really did handle his situation in the front court. And on top of that, like Kinsey, Collier, Baisley, Lofton Jr., like these are big guys too. Not Collier, but the latter. And Armando Bacot, I can't remember which one it is, big boy out of UNC. He didn't play in this game, but there was still not necessarily height, but like size, girth for guys, with the wide set shoulders, thick through the middle. They can kind of press their bodies out there and make a difference in the lane. The Raptors did look small. I guess this was Ochai's best game. I'll say that. I did like his defense. The Jazz are not a bad team as far as like initiating offense at the summer league level. They have a few guys who can do so. Ochai was pretty good against them. He had 9 points on 9 shots, which is not bad for Ochai. It's not good, but it's not bad. The 4 assists, he moved the ball around. He had a lot more possession in this game, and like his defense was good. His defense has been good at the NBA level, guarding NBA level guards. Of course, he's going to do well against, these guys at the summer league level where there's a mix of lower NBA level, G League level, maybe not even G League, like guys who will end up playing elsewhere. He's going to look really good. The offense, though, it's tough. Trash Clips says it here. I can't quite understand what happened to Ochai's shooting. I get that college and the NBA is apples to oranges, but going from 40% in college to not being able to make anything in summer league is wild. Yeah, it is a little bit vexing what happened with Ochai. As you say, apples and oranges. It's a different, the 3-point is a different length from one to the other. However, there are people who collect the stats of when guys are in college, like, hey, how many of these threes are far enough away that they would count as NBA threes? It's not like Ochai was absolutely destitute on those. Grady was a really good NBA 3-point shooter at Kansas. Ochai, I believe, was passable. And he shot 22% with the Raptors, not even summer league, but with the Raptors when he was being kind of spoon-fed really easy looks. It is odd to see a guy who had 2 years with like this massive 3-point volume, massive efficiency, to see that guy struggle to make threes, not only, the easy threes at the NBA level that are handed to him. There's no movement. There's no hyper, there's not a lot of volume expected. It's like, hey, if the shot falls into your hands, make it happen. That's fine. That's one thing. But also at summer league level, like, maybe it's just not there. I don't know. He's on a guaranteed contract. Darko said they're tweaking his jumper. I guess we'll see what happens with that. We can talk more so about Shed. Academic Mentorship here says Shed can be a solid NBA backup on a good team. Love his compete and leadership. Best from Raptors 2024 draft so far. I don't know if he's has he been the best at Summer League? Probably. Like the best play so far. I think he's probably had better games than Jacoby. I think Jacoby is a lot easier for him to step into an NBA role, and I think that'll be reflected in what happens. I'm expecting Shed to spend a lot of time with the 905, and for the reasons that we could see in this game, what I talked about at the top, he is so dynamic as a defender. He looked like he was going to help change the outcome of the game late with what he was able to bring. And honestly, when it comes to what he's able to bring defensively, that's so valuable and that's great. However, offensively, you need a guy who can shoot or occupy the defense or create for others or give you some semblance of punch. And he has really struggled to do that. He hasn't had really a standout summer league game as far as like the offensive side. The one game he had a catch and shoot three, he was doing okay, but that was mostly passive. And if a guy's going to shoot 32, 33% on an okay volume, you have to be able to screen, you have to be able to offensive rebound, you have to be able to bring a bunch of extra stuff on the offensive end. Think of Josh Hart, for example. Josh Hart is a guy who, I know he hit a lot of threes in the playoffs, but he's been very, very valuable as a player when he's gone through those shooting slumps because he brings so much extra stuff. There's a little bit of playmaking, and he's not even very good defensively. Shed has to work on his craft and some of those skills, the skill-based stuff, to be able to kind of impact at the NBA level. His defense is there. I think he would immediately step into the NBA as an above-average defensive guard and would have, I guess, a roadmap to becoming an elite on-ball defender. However, it's 50. Like, usually people don't pay enough attention to that side of the floor, the less glamorous one. But in this case, mostly people say when they want to deride somebody's defense, they say, well, it's 50% of the ball. And Shed is really valuable and good on defense. However, it's only 50% of the ball in that case. Penny Hardaway 24 says, are you and Blake roommates? No, I'm cat sitting for Blake. However, Blake and I were roommates for maybe 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, actually. Yeah, like closer to a month when I first moved to Toronto. And when I first moved to Toronto, he let me stay here because obviously it's tough to rent in Toronto, or like it's not friendly. Toronto is a tough place to be like a transplant into because the renting market is so, I don't know, terrible. And it's such an expensive city. It's not like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but like Raptors Republic isn't like the richest media company. They're not giving me the amount of money that I can just walk in and lay stuff down and be like, yeah, I'll take it. So I had to look diligently with my friend Alag. So I lived with Blake for a little while on this couch, this one right here. And Brody's over there. He's sitting in one of those little cat incubator things. But yeah, that couch, and then there's an air mattress in that closet. My finger, there we go. Yes, that closet that I used to sleep on, I guess. But then Brody, he poked a hole in it, so I had to go get a bike tire fixing kit and then fix it. Penny Hardaway 24 says, who owns Raptors Republic? Raptors Republic is owned by a few different guys, but it was initially created in the early 2000s as a collaboration between a couple different fan blogs that became Raptors Republic, and then obviously it has grown into something much larger today. So now I work for it. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Not saying I don't like it. I'm saying for those who enjoy or those who have been around for a long time. Long time not discussing Summer League stuff. So they lost. They lost. Shamshay, I want to talk about, and also Dessou a little bit. Shamshay, his size, it matters out there, which is encouraging because big men, a lot of them can put up stats, and then you also have to get into kind of the nitty gritty of like, okay, does this big man? I know he'll get rebounds, he'll get putbacks, he'll get like little laydowns for layups, he'll play minutes and get to 8 points and 6 rebounds or something like that. That's good, but is he a guy who can help us play certain defensive schemes? Does he lift us on that end? Is he able to provide impact in other ways? What does he allow us to do offensively? Like, all that kind of stuff is really important to being a big man, because big mans can come by points and rebounds quite easily depending on the game. Shamshay, I don't think, if anybody's telling you they do know They're either very, very headstrong or maybe they're being a bit dishonest. I'm not sure. But Shamshay, I think it's yet to be seen what his utility will be defensively because there's just a lot going on. I think he can move very impressively. I think he's a very talented athlete, and his size is impactful on the less desirable end of the floor. And then offensively, I think we've seen some good, although I've maintained that I think the high-low read is maybe a little bit overrated, especially the standstill one. But we've seen some good reads from Shamshay. His handle is a huge question mark as far as like patrolling the top of the arc and being a handoff hub. There's a bunch of stuff that he has to work on. But the fact that he is the youngest player at this tournament, and he doesn't look out of place. He's not the best big man. He's not even like the median big man. He's not there. However, he's the youngest guy there, and you can tell like it makes sense for him to be here. Now, everybody wants, it would have been great for Grady to be so good. And this isn't the context for Grady, but it would have been great for him to be so good that you say it doesn't make sense for him to be here going the other way. Like Keegan Murray last year when he just at the California Classic was just dropping like 40 points, 50 points. That's what you want. A guy who is so good that you say, why the hell is he at Summer League? It would have been great if Ochai was that guy. It would have been great if Grady was that guy. Jacoby, it's rare for a rookie to do it, but every once in a while a rookie does it. That would have been cool. However, we haven't gotten anything like that. All of the players who are playing look like they belong at Summer League, which is troubling for one player in particular and is just par for the course for many others. Carlson, a little bit more on him. I think he's done a really fantastic job holding down the front court through 3 games. I think that he's going to be very good for the 905, and I think that Shed is going to be very good for the 905. Academic Mentorship says Filipowski looking NBA ready. Yes, Filipowski did look really good. I talked about him, big shout Merv again, but I talked about him for like 2 minutes, which is a lot for an opposing player at the top of the podcast if you want to go back and listen. Jameson Battle, this kind of what I talked about after the first game. I can't remember who said it. And I'm not saying this to be like to poo-poo it. I said I wasn't sure if we're going to get this shooting performance every game because somebody had said, well, Battle can just take Grady's spot. And we saw it, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 1 assist, 0 for 3. Once he got a little bit harder. His matchup got a little bit more difficult. He had a tougher time creating separation. He had a tougher time. He wasn't the third guy on the scout. He wasn't the second guy or the fourth. He was like the second when he was on the floor, which meant the closeouts came quicker. There was help behind the closeouts, all that kind of stuff. And he struggled. However, he did sign with the Raptors, an undisclosed contract, which I assume will put him in competition for training camp stuff. If anything else has been reported, I missed out on it, but that is my understanding of Jameson Battle's contract with the Raptors. It just keeps him in the mix. That's pretty much Omari Moore. I guess I could talk about a little bit. He hit 1 3 today. He tried some fledgling attempts at like creating looks for himself and others, and it didn't go super well. I didn't find it to be impressive, but I think that his defense is really what sells him as a player. And it was okay today. He had a really big game a couple days ago, but nobody really popped off. The guy who, it was Javon's game, but that's the thing is like, we know what Javon can do. He was one of the best scoring guards in the G League when he attended Summer League last year as part of the Windy City Bulls. And then the Raptors signed him after he played the Raptors Summer League team. And then Javon was kind of on that road to trying to make the Raptors. And then he made the Raptors. And then he signed a contract that will see him into training camp that's partially guaranteed. All that kind of stuff we'll see. We know he can score the ball at this level. We know he can score it a bit at the NBA level. We're looking for him to round out everything. And Molly, she says here, the guys played terrible today. They started the first quarter well, and after it went downhill. True. And also Molly earlier had kind of talked about Javon's play or decision making, which has struggled with the 905 with the Raptors and today. Trash Clip says, how do you feel about Cody Williams? I like Cody Williams. I really like his brother. I was a really big pusher of Jalen Williams, not friend of the show, Jackson Frank, he tweeted out that I think Jalen Williams was a top 20 player. I didn't gas Jalen that much, but I was like, in Jalen's the first game I saw him, I was after he got drafted, I was like, oh, this guy's going to be a star. He makes the perfect decision. There's so many decisions you can make as an NBA player. When to cut, when to pursue a rebound, when to slide in defensively. Some of that is designed in scheme. Some of that is just you making decisions. And Jalen is tremendous. Cody isn't quite as heady as a player. I don't think his feel is quite at the same level, but he's intriguing. He looks long. I'm not exactly sure what his wingspan is. I like Cody. Now he's not blowing my mind or anything, but I like Cody. Yeah. I don't want to get too crazy or anything like that, but yeah. Penny Hardaway 24 says Carlson has been very good on both ends. Takes over that idiot Porter's minutes. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I don't know how it's going to go, but I saw a report that said Jonte had that he petitioned a judge to let him play professionally in Greece. I don't know how that'll go. But I'll take the compassionate stance. I've had many laughs at Jonte's expense. I thought it was funny, particularly that we finally were talking about the Raptors 905 having a prospect who, like, finally they have a guy who's going to do something at the NBA level. His name is Jonte Porter. And then we find out this guy's throwing games. So the expectation for a good prospect got so low with the Raptors that a guy who was throwing games were like, that's the guy. He's made it. I've had laughs. Jonte, I don't think he didn't hurt too many people, which matters. However, he undercut the integrity of the game, which to me means, like, how could you possibly bring this guy back in? And it seems to me the reason why he did this is because Jonte obviously has a significant problem with gambling, crypto markets, all this kind of stuff. He got himself in trouble and was trying to leverage his ability to throw games and betting lines as an NBA player to get himself out of it. I don't know what happens with him going forward. He's involved in a RICO case, which RICO cases are a big deal. We'll see. But I hope eventually his brain chemistry gets to a better place where he's not so affected by the need to gamble, getting into those situations. That's the Jonte thing. Carlson, I don't know if he looks better than Jonte, because Jonte, I think, was an NBA level. I think he was an NBA level big. I know he threw games. But or threw his own stats, whatever. But I think he was, I think he was NBA level as a big man. He's talented. A lot of the guys I know and some of them who've been on the podcast who went on to end up working in, like, as scouts or front office members in the NBA. I knew a lot of guys like that, and still do, who really, really liked Jonte as a prospect. It was just he had to deal with so much injury stuff. And then obviously, people in the chat, myself, everybody's affected by the pandemic. Jonte picked up risky money stuff. Academic Mentorship says Carlson can benefit from 1 year of anabolic steroids. Yeah. I watched an interesting video essay on steroids and how they're becoming more popular because people started being transparent about the fact that they take steroids. However, only in showing the good aspects of it. So a guy isn't trying to hide that he takes steroids anymore, like an influencer or a content creator. But he's like jacked. He looks awesome. And then like a 15-year-old kid is like, that's what happens when you take steroids. And they never learn about the bad stuff. So more kids and more young adults are taking steroids now. So that's not good, I don't think. And also in the video essay, seemed like steroids were bad. There's a lot of side effects. We are way far field. We're not talking about basketball at all, really. Collier didn't pop off. I don't know what his stats were in the summer league games, but he was, and credit to like Ochai and credit to Shed for making him kind of a little bit blend into the background. But the way that some people speak about Collier, you would think, and how high some people are, you would think he would kind of like really pop out at Summer League, because the Summer League context, evidenced by Javon continuously just scoring the hell out of the basketball, the Summer League context is a friendly one to high volume guards. And Collier, I mean, he should have an opportunity to do so. However, yeah, Andre says kids into it until they start balding. Isn't that the truth? That would be crazy if that was me, huh? If I was like, guys, been doing steroids, that's why the hair's gone. So sorry to say. Samson from the Bible is like the opposite, right? He's the opposite of steroids. The longer his hair, the more thick, the stronger he is. Wow. We've got allegories. Yeah, that feels like a podcast mostly, though. The Raptors lose. I guess we'll see what happens. The rest of the games have to play out to see if they still have a chance to like get into the playoff bracket and play another game. Well, play the fourth game still, get into the playoff bracket, see what happens. We'll see if they have a chance to compete for the championship, but that feels like a podcast mostly. Thank you to everybody for jumping in. Like the video if you want before you get out here. It helps spread to other people afterwards. Nice midday game. And OG3 says Samson and LA Gories. That's a good one. I've never made that joke before. Very happy with that. All right, everybody. Joseph Cassidy says Will is going live. Have your cake and eat it too. Enjoy that. Like the video, subscribe if you want. Thank you for listening. And whether you got into this in the morning or at night, have a blessed day and goodbye.